Welcome to this brief recording where I'll be demonstrating how to use the Import Environment tool, which is part of the Halcyon Message Management Suite. This tool has been designed to enable copying of rules and settings from one environment, whether it be on the same system, to another environment, which could be on a remote system. Example of its use is where you have a test environment where all rules are configured, upgrades are tested, and new Halcyon products are put through their paces. Once you have invested your time in the setup of that environment, you can then use the Import Environment tool to copy these settings to your production systems. Another use of the tool is where you have multiple Halcyon installations and require a template system. This system is where all new filters are configured and then pulled using the Import Environment tool back to each Halcyon installation. The Import Environment tool prerequisites include FTP must be active on the source system when importing to a remote system, and the Halcyon monitors on the target system must be stopped prior to using the Import Environment tool. So let's take a look at how the Import Environment tool works. Here is my Halcyon test environment where I have several message monitoring filters that I want to be applied on a remote system that I use for demonstrations. Let's take a look at the filters. As you can see, I have several message filters set up against QSysOpera message queue. Each of these filters have been configured, and I now wish to export these to my remote system. Let's take a look at the filters that are already configured on my demo system. As you can see against QSysOpera, there are no filters predefined within the demo environment on this remote system. So let's use the Import Environment tool to import those message filters. First, we need to exit back to a command line. We just need to type in the environment name. So for this instance, my environment is going to be HalDemo, and then the command IMPENV, and then F4 to prompt. From this command, you need to specify the system that you want to copy the environment from, whether that be the remote system or the local system, what environment you want to copy the filters from. So in my demonstration, I want to copy from environment test. You can choose whether you want to copy from all Halcyon products within the suite, or you can specify each individual product. You will then need to specify a qualifying user ID which will enable FTP access from that remote system. So for this example, I'm going to use QSecOffer. Once you press enter, connection will be established back to the remote system, and the remote system will retrieve the data that's been requested from the environment that has been specified. So for this example, our environment is test. Once that remote system data has been retrieved, it will be copied into a file called import, which is stored in QTemp. That will be FTP'd to this remote system, and then the data will be extracted and returned into the applicable data libraries. It's important to note that any data that you have already on the existing environment, so in this example this is the demo environment, any existing data will be overwritten by the import data. As you can see, the import is now progressing, where the data is being processed and imported, and when it's finalised you'll receive the import environment completed successfully command. If I now go into that environment and we take a look at the rules and the message filters, you can now see that those filters have been imported. This has been a very simple demonstration, just purely showing how filters and settings can be imported. It's only covered the message queue, but the import tool will also import any TCP IP, output queue, device, job queue filters that are put in place, as well as any system defaults or environment settings that have changed. And that concludes this video.